I've already mentioned one point of similarity between 1984 and Anthem. This is the idea that the enslavement of humanity is accompanied by the degradation of language. Now, in the society portrayed in Anthem, this is something that has already occurred long ago in the distant past. And equality can only look back and wonder how men who knew the word I could give it up and not know what they lost. In 1984, on the other hand, the totalitarian state in the society has only existed for a few decades, and we see it in the process of destroying the language and creating a new official language, Newspeak. And they're sort of systematically wiping out the words that make it possible to think the thoughts that the state doesn't want people to think. Now, there's no special focus on singular pronouns in 1984, but Orwell's philosophical views are quite the opposite of Rand's, and the kind of reverence for I, reverence for man's ego that we find in Anthem is unique to Ayn Rand. Another point of similarity and a sharp contrast to Brave New World is that the society depicted in 1984 is in a state of decline. Remember that both Anthem and Brave New World are set centuries into the future. But where Anthem shows a civilization that has collapsed into primitive stagnation because of its totalitarian collectivism, Brave New World shows a society, a totalitarian state, where science and technology are part of the arsenal of collectivist control. Now again, in contrast to both of these, the society depicted in 1984 is just a few decades old. But if you were to ask what the 1984 society might look like if it were projected centuries into its future, it would probably look a lot more like the world of Anthem than like the world of Brave New World. It's already on its way, as suggested by the incredibly low living standard of most of the population, who are generally starving and impoverished. And the reason for this connection between the totalitarian collectivism of the society and the economic decline and the scientific and technological decline is explained in 1984 in the secret book of Immanuel Goldstein. In that book it says, "The world of today is a bare, hungry, dilapidated place compared with the world that existed before 1914. Science and technology were developing at a prodigious speed, and it seemed natural to assume that they would go on developing. This failed to happen, partly because of the impoverishment caused by a long series of wars and revolutions, partly because scientific and technological progress depended on the empirical habit of thought, which could not survive in a strictly regimented society. As a whole, the world is more primitive today than it was 50 years ago." Like Rand, Orwell seems to disagree with Huxley's view that continual advancement in science and technology is compatible with totalitarian collectivism.